Do you guys consider yourselves to be conservatives?
I would say I'm more. I mean, I'm trying to just provide like unbiased news. Like I've never voted before. I still haven't voted. Like I'm not registered.
So like not even political.
Yeah, I'm not really political. I don't, what would you say, Shelby?
Yeah, I think that's because people just assume that we're uber conservative because of who we're associated with. I would say none of us are really. I mean, I know Richie's politics. Richie voted for who? You can go ahead and say it.
He's going to say it.
Well, yeah, I did. I voted for Barack Obama.
Oh.
A lot of people out there.
I voted for Obama the first time.
Yeah.
You voted for the second time?
I did.
Oh, wow.
I didn't regret the first time, but, I was 18 years old. I just moved to Washington, D.C. But the second time, yeah, I do. I definitely regret it. But I think I'm more of an anti-establishmentarian. I saw the Bush years. I saw the Clinton years growing up, and I really saw a problem with both sides of the establishment. And Barack Obama he did run on a platform of hope and change. It's just that, once he got into office, clearly he was kind of sucked into that establishment. So, I mean, I would consider, myself an anti-establishmentarian. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, before I started this, I started as a journalist in 2019. And before that, I played professional tennis for 4 years. And before that, I, played D1 at University of Iowa. So I was sports, and I was hardly even in America. So I had no idea what was going on in American politics. So I didn't grow up being, actually, when I first got my job, my aunt, we call her Girl Kelly. She'll be happy. I gave her a shout out. But she was shocked that I was going into politics. But I think that has allowed me to really see both sides. Like I genuinely do feel like I can understand both sides of the spectrum, and therefore I do try really hard in my reporting. If it's peaceful, it's peaceful. Some of these people have legitimate things.
I think a lot of what we hear is from the protesters and the unresters. There are real legitimate problems that need to be solved. The problem is when you have, like, if someone comes to me and says Black Lives Matter, I'll be like, absolutely. Like, I don't know, where do we go from there? Like, what do you want to do, If you tell me that somebody got shot and they shouldn't have, let's talk about it, because cops should not be executing people if it is like a murder. If it's the instance where it's like a fight breaks out and someone's struggling with cops, like, I don't know what we're supposed to do, you know what I mean? Like with Jacob Blake, for instance. Like, he was fighting with cops. He had a knife, and he was apparently, stealing the woman's car. He wanted on a felony warrant, and she was yelling, according to the lawyer, he's got my kids, he's got my keys. And so how's the cop supposed to respond to this guy who's wanted on a felony warrant doing these things? It's a challenge. The problem I see is I got no problem sitting down with a Trump supporting conservative who's like, yelling blue lives matter and we got to respect the cops. I'm going to be like, I absolutely agree. For a society to function, cops got to be able to make arrests, even if sometimes they make mistakes. It can be really annoying, but you deal with the process after the fact, and you don't fight with them. But then the other side is like burn it all down, destroy, abolish police, defund police. And it's like, it's so far removed from a reasonable approach to how we deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just been a crazy situation, I think, for, me and Shelby or anyone doing this work. Like for me, like I was in sports journalism before I got it, the whole political thing. And then.
So wait, you're both sports?
Yeah.
Well, she played in the game. I was more the sidelines guy, but like I didn't even know what a Republican or Democrat was till like 2018 to like fully switch. Then now that I started reporting on a lot of these protests and marches, the unresters. I'll have people from my hometown message me and be like, why are you portraying Black Lives Matter, the movement, like this? And I literally have to be like, I didn't have no idea it was like this. I was on the ground. Like, I didn't know they were attacking press and like attacking business owners and doing this till I was on the ground. I'm not. There's no narrative here. We just hit record. We upload it. Then everyone else gets to form their own opinion on the video. I think that's a strength that we really have at the Daily Caller that you can't really find in other places.
I do want to say, just real quick though, I think that's what you touched on is really important. That's why we all work at the Caller, which is people don't realize. They just assume, oh, you work at the Daily Caller, you're like a conservative, and you're Tucker Carlson basically. And that's really not the case. There's such a multitude of political ideologies of people who work at the Daily Caller, and the newsroom is really just like a place where everybody hashes that out. Any story that comes up in the news that's complicated or difficult, we're just talking about it with uncensored, straight up. And when I worked at NBC News, it was the opposite. It was like a funeral home there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Shelby and I were talking about this because we fight all the time when we're on the road.
Oh my gosh.
Little fights though. Little fights.
Little bickering.
But at NBC, once a year, the people who've been working together for 30 years and they've kept it all bottled up for 30 years pops off, and it's just a meltdown.
So like
never
I
seen.
think I scared some of the rioters in Kenosha. I started screaming at Richie
Oh my.
in public
Yeah.
at like
Oh, yeah,
midnight.
yep.
Over
I
what?
remember it.
What?
Why?
He wanted
I'm gonna
me to
pass the
follow
mic
him
off.
around like a little puppy dog because he was nervous because I'm a woman.
Oh, I see
know.
how
I got
it
myself in
is.
trouble actually.
And then
Oh,
he got
snap.
himself, yeah.
So when you mentioned you wouldn't recommend it, I agree. Don't go to jail.
Yes.
But there is something to like, we're too comfortable. You know, like
agree.
young people in
Yeah.
this country don't understand how bad things could be. And that includes many of these protesters who are like, burn it all down, defund this, abolish this. And I don't mean all of them, because I know like there are regular people who just are angry about police brutality and stuff, though I think they're being manipulated for sure. These people have never experienced real hardship. That's why it's funny to me when like you mentioned that some of the women are crying and some of them are just like, well, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
You can I'd be willing to bet the women who are like, this is what's happening, are the people who have actually experienced something hard and they've been toughened up and they understand you're going to be okay. You don't need to worry about this stuff. So like I remember when you know every time I've been arrested more than once, I just like, all right, you know, I'm not going to die in a jail cell. I'm not going to, it's going to be a day or something. And then I, you know, nothing ends up happening on it. It's just, I got some bunk arrests, skateboarding, you know, they don't like skateboarders, but there are many circumstances I've been in where you can clearly tell people who are wads of cookie dough, who are, you know, marshmallows, and the people who have actually experienced real hardship. So it's really great. I did I don't know, have you guys done any hostile environment training?
No.
This is
Well,
fun
unless
stuff.
you count like growing up with my family
Where did you grow up?
in New York.
Probably
I'm
not.
one of 5.
Yeah, I got
Oh, yeah.
Salvadoran parents.
My mom
so-
is a
Yeah, yeah.
prosecutor,
There
so
you go. Ooh.
you can imagine. She used
That's
to tell us
interesting.
democracy stops at the front door.
Oh man.
Wow.
That's awesome.
No
so
joke.
so I had been covering civil unrest, riots. When I say civil unrest, I mean like bordering on revolution. I mean that in the literal sense, not this like, we're not going to call protesters protests. So I've covered protests, unrest, like actual revolution, and rioting. And so when I started working for the ABC News company, they were like, everybody's got to have hostile environment training. And I was like, I should be giving the training because I've been doing this, you know, for X many years. And most of these people, like even the people who are doing the training don't have the most up-to-date understanding of the modern technology and what's going on. And, you know, I got a whisper, wink, wink. It's the insurance company, dude. Like, insurance company wants all the reporters to have special training. But I tell you what, man, when we were doing the training, they paired me up with a former Marine, fresh out of the Marines, and they could not get us. So like the way these trainings work is like they have fake landmines, you know, so they put these things in the ground that are hidden. And when you step on it, it sprays, you know, ink or something. And they're like, oh, you got landmine. And there are a bunch of scenarios where they try and get you. And it was a lot of fun. It's really fun the way these. So like I got to participate as a local villager. And they do this thing where they have the news crew come in. And then that's all they do. And they tell us, you know, because like it's your turn to play the villagers. I pickpocketed people. It was amazing. I was like taking their stuff and they were panicking. But when I was there with the Marine, it was really amazing because we actually escaped their final terrorist scenario. So they did the scenario where they're like, your assignment now from the editor is to interview the leader of a terrorist organization. And we're going to go. Everything's been arranged. Your security is with you. And it was really cool. Like the SUV pulls up. We hear gunshots. And then like we see people on the ground. Me and the Marine guy were gone. Like we were out of there. And then we hear from a distance, where'd you go? And we're laughing. And I'm like, this guy gets it. But it was so bunk because then the trainer guy goes, you guys are dead. And we started laughing and they're like, come back. And we came back and they were like, you got the terrorists killed you. And I was like, dude, we immediately both went for dead ground. And we immediately serpentined through trees. We were gone, and we know it because this guy knows. The Marine dude knows better than I do. But I was like, we were laughing in the woods, hearing them in the distance, upset that we like beat their training.
That's
but
amazing.
So anyway, I bring that up just because like when you're on the ground, and you guys probably know this too. Like with you can see when you see journalists or whatever, which one of them has actually got experience, and which ones are like the local desk reporter who was asked to go out and film this stuff. Because I'll tell you what, man. When I was in Ferguson, there's a couple things I love. 2 instances in Ferguson where gunshots are ringing out, and I'm on the deck, and then I look up and I see one of these local reporters going, "Are those fireworks?" And then one of my favorite all-time blunders is from CNN when they were in Ferguson and the gunshots go off, and it's this woman, and she goes, "What? Oh." And she's just like waving her arms and like, I'm like, stop standing there waving your arms. They're shooting bullets. Get on the ground. And then she just like hobbles over like behind a building. And I'm like, oh my gosh. When I was at the first shots that went off when I was in Ferguson, I was standing by one of the shops in the parking lot, and we heard a shot. And then I heard another shot, and I immediately just dove. Like I belly flop. I put my hands down, slid, and I heard the whip crack over my head. The bullet hit the building. Oh my God. So the like being on the ground and seeing these people who are sent out by local news, like they have no experience, no idea what to do. I'm not surprised. They're like, well, we got here at 7:50. We recorded our 5-minute hit, and let's go home. You're good. You shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
But then it is really weird that you see like especially with you guys in Kenosha, because all the footage out of Kenosha, you don't see any reporters anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's just literally people running around and all this chaos. Right? Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. And we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.